Welcome back. In this video, we are considering string manipulation and concatenation. A string in Python is a word, a paragraph, or a sentence defined in a single quote or the double quotes. Now, note that we define a string in Python in either using the single quote or the double quote. Quickly open your idle and let's try something. Now I'll try to define a string omitting this quote and let's see what happens. So I'll call a string hello, and here I have an error message. Now this is because omitting the single quote or the double quote will allow Python see this as a variable, and it will give you an error message: name hello is not defined. Now to properly define a string, you have to introduce your single quote and say hello. Or you can bring in your double quotes, hello, and they are all cool. In Python, we can add up strings together, or we can multiply a string with an integer. Adding up strings together in Python or most programming languages is termed as concatenation. You can add two strings together or even more strings together. Let's try something here. I'll say hello. And I'm going to concat this with the plus sign. That's how we do it in Python. Word. And we have these two words being put together, hello, word. You can also multiply strings in Python. So you can do hello. Then you use the multiplication sign we used in our basic arithmetic operator video. And I'm going to multiply this with 10. Then we have hello, hello, hello being printed 10 times on the screen. Now what I cannot do is to add a string, trying concatenating a string with an integer. So if I do hello plus 10, this is an error, and the error message reads can only concat string, not integer to string. So what this means is this is an integer, the 10 here is an integer, this is a string, and therefore we can't concat them. Concatenation, you have to use the same data types, which is if you are concatenating a string, it should be a string to a string. Now this leads me to introduce you to the string function. So to do that, you can say hello plus, and you introduce your string function, which is str, and you type in 10. Okay, so this is able to concat hello with a 10. This is because this 10 over here, being an integer, has now been converted to a string. Now let's apply the variables we learned in our previous video in here. I'll call a variable message, and I'll set message equals something like hey, don't you think Python is awesome? Now I'll define another variable called name, and I'll set name equals Pete. Now what I can do is set another variable called results, and I'll set this equals name plus message. So what I'm doing over here is just the basic concatenation we did up here, but this time around I'm concatenating two variables which both hold strings. So now let's go ahead and print results to see what we have. Oh, there is an error message here which says results not defined. Oh, that's because I have results being spelled wrong over here. So let's do that again. Results equals name plus message. Now we can print results, and I think we are good to go. So we say Pete, hey, don't you think Python is awesome? So we are concatenating this Pete and this message together over here. Now we can see Pete and hey being put together, and we will deal with that later on. Now what I can also do is I can multiply the name a number of times using another variable. So I can say results 2, and this is a different variable because of the 2, because name multiplied by 10. Now when we go ahead and print results 2, we have Pete being printed about 10 times on the screen. So this is how we can manipulate some strings and concat them. See you in my next video and have a wonderful day.